Hello, everyone, and a warm welcome on Adya Insights Optimistic Unlimited. Let me tell you a story. There was this shoe company which sent two salespersons to Africa to check how much shoes they could sell there. So one of them sent a telegram back to the company saying that no sale possible, nobody wears shoes here. The second guy sent a telegram back, plenty of business, nobody is wearing shoes here. That's basically about the attitude which we are trying to ignite. Today on board we have Mr. Vineet Joshi, CFO of P.A.R.I, that is Precision and Robotics India. A warm welcome, Vineet. Happy to
Thank
have
you.
you on board. Uh,
Likewise.
Vineet has a 30 years experience, presently the CFO, right, for about 9 years.
Yes.
Great. So we hope your vast experience would help us and our viewers about this attitude. So Vineet, with so much depression, so many bad things about economy, people have almost given up hope, a lot of jobs being lost, and everybody is saying that economy is in the dumps right now and that there doesn't seem to be a future. I'm sure there's a flip side to it. And since you are a hardcore optimist person, I would like to know your views on it.
Uh, for all those who think that this present COVID crisis is going to be kind of an end of the road, I would like to tell all of them that mankind has survived a meteor impact. Mankind has survived two ice ages and thrived thereafter. Then, in the recent past, mankind has survived two global wars, global conflicts, and survived and thrived even after that. So, really speaking, the events that at times appear to be, apocalyptic, which kind of spell doom for the entire mankind or entire world as we know, are not exactly like that. Yes, they are large scale in nature. They are scary in nature. They are serious in nature. No question about it. I am not in the least belittling the present crisis that is facing us. The crisis that started with the spread of the virus and which is now spreading into the areas like economy, its impact on economy, its impact on socio-political dynamics, and so on. So I'm not belittling any of that. But all I'm saying is, let us not be too fast in losing hope. Essentially, because I'm personally speaking a strong believer in the resilience of the mankind.
Okay.
The resilience to withstand such things, resilience to bounce back, and resilience to make a difference hereafter. Perhaps what may happen is the some of the ways of the old world. Now, old world, I'm saying pre-COVID and post-COVID for a limited reference of this particular question. Some of the ways of the old worlds might have to be changed or might have to be given up. But that does not mean the world will come to an end. That does not mean the mankind will come to an end. That does not mean the economy will come to an end. That's my strong belief. To be very honest, even now, the offshoots, I mean, the early green shoots of revival, even in the Indian economy, are currently visible after the reopening of the economy. Ultimately, and now let's talk about the economy for a moment. I mean, when we say we are in a deep recession and there is no hope left, and there are defaults all over the place, banks are not lending money, they are not able to recover, companies are not able to pay salaries and are firing people, and so on. Fundamentally, what's happening? Fundamentally, what is happening is somewhere you and I are not buying because we have lost faith. If that happens with one or two people, it doesn't make a difference. When it happens with 100 million people, it makes a difference. So I think right now the time is good for all of us to keep that little faith. Be cautious, but be faithful. Be optimistic, and revert to normalcy as early as we can in our own behavior and thinking, such that it transforms into a positive vibes and therefore positive, how should I put it, feelers going back into the various facets of the world as we know, including economy. That is what my essentially my view and thought is about the present negativity is concerned.
So you have been an optimistic. We let it this. You've been an optimistic person. Okay, this is something which probably you've developed over the years. It doesn't happen just that, okay, I need to be optimistic and everything changes. So, how does one develop this habit of being optimistic?
I think to an extent it is inbuilt. There are people, when even a common communication that happens between, let's say, two neighbors or two friends, somebody says something and a person takes it in a completely negative way. Like, this fellow must have, meant it to, show me down or belittle me or some way or the other. Whereas the other fellow may not have any of such thing in their mind. So really speaking, it's an approach and attitude. If you look at the negativity in anything, there's plenty of it to find.
I agree, Vineet, but how do you develop it? I mean,
Uh,
it's a process.
I don't know if that's a process or not. I think to an extent, uh, you're born that way. I would say on this one particular point of optimism, being optimist or being pessimist, I'll tell you there are two parts to it.
Okay.
To a large extent or to a considerable extent, if not full, you're born that. You tend to see the positive side of the things. Why? You cannot explain that. Why? Because some people look at only the negative side of the things. Why? You simply can't explain that. Are they bad people? Absolutely not. Are the optimist bad people, good people, or best people in the world? Absolutely not. They're all kinds. But for being an optimist, Adolf Hitler was an optimist till such time he was uh, completely and profoundly defeated. He thought he's going to win, but keep that aside for the time being. That said, that's something that is in you as you are born. Later on, you have to learn to have faith first in yourself, because unless you believe in yourself, you will find it very difficult to believe in anybody else. Because then you have people who have, you see with distrust, all around you. Your, your son comes from outside and you ask him, where have you been? And he tells you something and you distrust
Don't believe.
immediately because you're probably not telling me the right thing. Why? Because somewhere there's a trust deficit within you. So if you have to work on something, you have to work on that trust deficit that resides within you, which first you need to reduce that. That does not mean you should not verify. That does not mean you should not be diligent. I'm not at all saying that. I'm saying being trusting and being diligent are two different things. But being not having trust about anything or not having faith in anything is completely another. If you're the former and if you develop that trait further, your inborn optimism, which has to be in you, becomes that much more, how should I put it, pronounced and that much more, articulate or, metaphors itself into a reality much more than otherwise.
So sometimes it's in a dormant state, which needs to be,
Yes,
made aware of. Okay.
yes, very correct.
So with this attitude, how do you motivate your team? I'm sure they need motivation from time to time. How do you motivate your team?
I would just not say motivate the team, but I would say anywhere where am in a group, whether it's an office group where there are colleagues working with me, or a social group where there are people who are not necessarily my colleagues, assistants, deputies, or bosses being around me. They are just like me, equals. So the way to motivate anybody is to understand what motivates them, because every individual is different.
Sure.
Every individual in his individual capacity behaves differently. Any individual in a group dynamic behaves differently.
True.
and therefore you have to kind of understand the dynamics of that person. Now, everybody doesn't get motivated by money. Everybody doesn't get motivated by good words. Everybody doesn't get motivated by only or a shout or a
The
scold
pep talk. The pep talk.
or a pep talk. Some so having said that, and having regard to the generality of what I said, I think what motivates anybody for that matter is a sense of purpose.
True. Very true.
You know what I'm saying? Basically, when you ask somebody to do something, if the person understands the purpose behind it, there are greater chances of that person being motivated to do that job. And it applies in a corporate environment, it applies in an individual environment also.
Very true.
Because it is only so much that you can achieve by way of organizational authority.
Very true.
But organizational authority is one thing. You can say, I want this done. Okay, you can say that, but then for the person to get aligned with your requirement, understand it, why you need it at certain point of time, and then do it, and then go out of the way to do something more than what you ask you because he thinks it's going to be important. That's the motivation, and for which the person has to be aligned with the objectives and the purpose that he sees in this whole exercise. So this is true in office, this is true in any social environment, and therefore understanding the purpose or giving anybody a purpose in doing what he or she is doing for
Mhm.
me or along with me, as the case may be, is the key to motivating people,
Okay. Great.
according to me.
Great. So, Vineet, you spoke about adapting. Okay, it's very necessary to adapt to the changes. How do
So
you?
sorry, can you repeat the last line, please?
You said it is very important for a person to adapt to
Yes.
situations, right? How does one go about that? Because we are brought up in such strong beliefs and we are used to so much of the comfort zones that breaking them and adapting seems to be a big task. So, how does one change that mindset?
By telling yourself that everything has a sell-by date in the world.
Okay,
After a point, things start losing value, including yourself.
true.
Well, because you are relevant, very relevant at some point of time. Then you remain relevant. When your relevance starts going down, then it goes further down and so on. So unless if you keep saying that no, मैंने जब किया था जो 1970s में अच्छा था या 1980s में अच्छा था, it
Good.
worked.
Doesn't
Why
work.
should I change it in 2020? You're done. You're finished. You have to understand that the world is moving. World is moving in multiple dimensions. Time being one of them.
True.
Then there are dimensions of technology, dimensions of people dynamics, dimensions of ethos, values, society, all of those things. And those are the dimensions in which the world is moving forward. That's not necessary. It's not necessary that world will take you along. It is necessary for you to keep pace with what's going on. If you don't do that, you're going to be left behind. And if you're left behind, you're going to lose your relevance. So adaptability is nothing but attempting and trying to stay as much relevant in the changing context as possible. Now, for example, all my life, when my kids were young and we had a car and used to drive them around, I was the one who used to drive the cars, and they used to be in the rear seat and doing something and so on. Now, of course, when I go to my son, he's the one who drives me. I don't have to feel bad about it. The things have changed. I do not hold a license to drive a car in America. And therefore, I'm not going to be able to do that. He's the one who's holding that. He's the one who's going to do that. So the things have changed. And if I keep feeling bad that, oh, now I'm not able to drive, so I've lost my relevance. No, it's not going to work that way. You know, adopt to this situation. This is very, very, very basic, rudimentary example, but I just makes a point. So basically, being mindful of all the changes that are happening around you. Now, of course, having said that, there is always a conflict. Now, it's not on that
Easy.
simple because some changes are more superficial and some changes are more fundamental. Now, every person is a sum and substance of certain value systems that he believes in, he or she believes in, and certain adaptations that he or she has done on those value systems over the period of time to be able to effectively, be in the society that we are in. Now, as the things change, the context of some of the fundamental beliefs also sometimes change.
Okay.
And it's the question that one has to always answer, and that's the tough part in adopting. Do I give up my old ethos and values? Is it the new normal or new reality? For example, my parents, when they got married, love marriage was unheard of. So it was kind of rebellion to even say that I like this girl or I like this boy, and we want to marry. When
Very
I married, this had become an order of the day. Of course, I did not marry in a love marriage kind of a situation. It was an arranged marriage for me, but that's besides the point. If I had done a love marriage, okay, my parents might have fumed and fretted a little bit, but then they would have let go. It wouldn't have been such a showdown as probably two generations back. Today, uh, parents finding match for their son or a daughter itself has undergone a conceptual change. They say, who are you? I mean, we'll decide whom we want to marry
true.
and when we want to marry and whether we want to marry. You stay out of it. I mean, metaphorically, I'm saying.
I can
So,
relate to what you're saying.
so basically, these are the changing things. And if you say कि नहीं नहीं मेरे जमाने में तो ऐसा ही होता था अभी भी ऐसा ही होना चाहिए, it's going to be one irrelevant statement to make in the changing environment. You have to see the point. You have to understand the current generation from their standpoint. Why are they saying that? They see career as their prime pivot compared to probably what we saw or compared to probably what even our parents saw.
It's just a
So
different mindset. It's a different way
exactly. So their priorities in life is not
of
marriage.
things.
Their priority in marriage life is something else. They say, okay, marriage will happen along the way when it has to happen. Why make such a big fuss and fume about it?
True. True.
So I'm saying, this kind of an adaptation at a social level, this kind of an adaptation in corporate, because as you grow in age and become senior, and then more people join the organization who are younger than you, they bring new things to the table. If you are not open-minded, you are going to be left out. It is not that because of your age, the entire wisdom sits in your brain.
True.
You have to understand. There is somebody who could be junior most in your organization who might give you a gem of should I say, point or a view which you have never thought about. It's possible. He brings something completely fresh perspective to the table that you're not used to bringing it. Just because it has come from a junior, if you discard it, you have taken your first definitive step to make yourself redundant.
True. Very true. Very true.
That's how I look at it,
Yeah,
basically.
I completely understand your point of view. Vineet, you are very open-minded. I've realized that interacting with you over a period of time. But you're also very people-oriented, You respect people from all cadres, from all across the cross-section of the society. That's one very important quality, I think, which you need to develop. It's not discarding people, not looking down upon them. I think it's one of a hell of a quality. Can you say something on that?
I don't know if that's entirely true, but yes, well, I mean, when I see a man or a
What is
person,
not entirely true?
I mean, I'll tell you, and sometimes, what should I say? I'll say that as I speak. What happens is when I see a person, there are obviously some people who are in many ways superior to me, financially, education wise, certain stature in the society wise, and so on. They're superior to me. Not just money wise, but various ways. So obviously, they are the ones whom I hold them in esteem. saying that okay, something good, something very good, and I someday probably may want to emulate some part of it.
Okay.
There are some people who are obviously, what should I say, uh, similar to me.
Hmm.
Uh, Somehow, I don't always get a very competitive feeling looking at them, because I say okay, they may be good, they are good, but I mean, so am I in some cases. So where's the competition? I mean, if I can gather few things from him, what he's good at, and imbibe in myself, why not? And when I look at people who are obviously today at a strata or a stature which is lower than mine, I intuitively get one feeling in my mind that he is not where he is by choice. It's some kind of a what should I say, circumstantial situation that has put him into this.
Okay.
Perhaps a lack of educational opportunity, perhaps being less lucky in finding the kind of environment that I found, perhaps less lucky in his job compared to what I was,
Okay.
or in his family or her family life than what I am,
Mhm.
and so on. So it may just be a stroke of luck that I am better than him or her today. So what is there for me to feel proud about? Okay, I mean, if there are certain negative things about it, I would obviously like to stay away from that. No question about it. But just because somebody is at a junior level or a lower level, or belongs to a lower strata of the society compared to where I belong, that does not necessarily make him inferior to me in my mind. That is, I guess, the reason why I feel I
You're
don't.
more receptive to all people.
Yeah, that is but I having said that, I'll say it's not entirely, it's partially true, essentially because I would not only like to only think about it like that, but I would also want to and like to do something about the people whom I feel are less privileged than what I am in those areas, which is something that I'm not doing right now. And that's the reason why I said, what you say is partially true.
Okay. Okay. So, in spite of your busy schedule, you have an extremely hectic schedule. You still make time to, follow your passion, your hobbies, do something for the society. I know you go to SIPLA, the palliative care center that is for the terminally ill cancer patients, and you
Yes.
have music sessions there, which is really nice. You also go to old age homes and do your bit there. So it is not always, like you said, it's not always about the money. It's about, giving that time. How do you make time for that?
Actually, if you believe in a cause, time makes itself available. Then you have 24 hours a day. See, there are occasions when I work at a place called Shirwal, which is about 50, 60 kilometers from where I live. So obviously, if I start back at home from office at around 7, let's say, I reach home not prior to 8:30 or so. So if there is a practice session for these kind of programs, we actually do that from 9:30 to midnight,
Great.
and that's how we do that. So because, but you say, okay, I mean, okay, on a little personal note, it's a stress buster. On a personal note, it's a sense of doing something, and belief in that cause that drives us to do that. Having said that, I would say on the social front, I would like to do much more than what I'm currently doing. I do not think I'm putting in all my efforts and all my potential in doing what I should be doing on the social
Would you like to sing for us? Two lines.
side. Not now, not now. Some other time with karaoke track and all, because I'm not a great singer anyway.
That,
I
that's
just do that as a part
not,
of
it's
habit.
not about being a great singer, Vineet. It's just about, doing what you do and you believe in and feeling good about it.
I know, I understand, but some other time probably.
Okay. So it's been lovely talking to you, Vineet. As always, thank you for
Sure,
taking so much time for us on this platform of Optimism Unlimited. I'm sure we have a
sure.
lot to learn from you. And thank you so much. Keep coming to our platform. Hope to see you again.
No problems. Thank you very much. And thanks for this opportunity. I hope whatever little I said, I don't claim to be Sadhguru who can, have a following and whose nuggets people will follow. But well, I mean, to some extent, if they are able to make an impact on those who listen, that will be a worthwhile, feedback or worthwhile remuneration of the time that I have spent on this particular thing.
It
Thank
made
you
an
very much.
impact on me. I can learn so many things. So
Thank you very much.
definitely help the others too. Have a
Yes, sure.
good evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much.